Hey, hello everybody.
Okay, we are live. Good afternoon.
Hey Marie, good afternoon.
It is, what day is it now? It's the 31st of January.
Oh,
We were
my
supposed to be
goodness.
on yesterday, but because we have an extra special guest, we decided to push it. We're perfectly
Starting
happy
off with
for
sorry.
that.
Great, Claudette.
So today, our guest is Claudette Zepeda-Wilkins. When you say your name, do you say the whole thing? Or do
No, normally I just say Claudette Zepeda.
Okay.
My husband, I have actually even told him, I said, how about you change your last name and we just make this a lot easier.
How well did that go over?
He's actually all for it. He goes, I'll get so much street cred.
Perfect.
So it's a maiden and you're married.
Yes.
Right.
I went the traditional Mexican, hyphenated route, especially from Top Chef Mexico.
Mhm.
Everyone takes their husband as their second last name.
Oh,
So it's just for continuity's sake.
makes sense.
Keep the same. But
Yeah.
no, I just say Wilkins to make it easier for
All
people.
right. Well, that makes it easier for me because I can't remember to put it in there. But
I know, Candy. I'm going to say, you must be living under a rock if you don't know who our guest is. Or you don't watch TV or something, and there's still some weirdos out there like that. But of course, she's on this season of Top Chef, which is always exciting, fun, and all other kinds of emotions. And she's also was on Top Chef in Mexico.
I was.
That's right. And we're really excited here in San Diego to have her restaurant is coming up really soon here, I believe in the next few months.
Yeah.
We
from
hope, right?
Your words to God's ears.
Okay.
It's up to the Historic Society gods.
There you go. In Liberty Station, which is becoming a really hotbed
yes.
of new restaurants. And let's see if I say it right. El Jardín.
El Jardín.
El Jardín, see. Oh.
Are you trying to go for the French version? Is that where
That
you're
must be
going?
it,
I think
right?
that
Yes.
El Jardín.
Yeah.
I can say it right when I learn
El
how to say
Jardín,
it. So.
yeah.
And what does that mean?
The garden.
Of course
So if it's hyphenated or it's got the little accent, then it's Mexican. It's in Spanish. If it
Okay.
doesn't, then it's El Jardín, the
All right.
French version. But
Thank you.
accent
did
makes
not
it
know that.
Spanish. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Okay, I can
welcome.
everything up.
We're so glad
Thank you.
to have
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Yes.
Now, I think we first met when you were at Bracero, and
Mhm.
I was there all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It was one of those heartbreak things for me when Bracero finally closed its doors. But I know you had left prior to that.
Yeah.
But you were doing great things at Bracero, and kudos to you because
Thank
that
you.
was a monster all in itself, being that you had the Santa Maria Grill to deal with upstairs, you had it downstairs, you had
Yeah.
so much going on there, and the food was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then you took some time for yourself and shipped off to Mexico and did Top Chef Mexico. How was that experience?
Top Chef Mexico was one in a lifetime experience. I think I grew the most as a cook that year. I think from leaving Bracero, I went and did a few pop-ups in Canada and Boston, and then I went to work in the Valle with Drew Deckman.
Oh,
spent
fun.
3 months in the summer over
Wow.
there because I couldn't take a full-time job.
Mhm.
So he was nice enough to kind of be like, yeah, come and hang out, cook, and then I shipped off to Mexico City. Never been to Mexico City before. I had gone in August to meet the
Really?
director.
And now you're
And-
there all the time.
It's my second home. Every time I go there, I look at apartments to rent just for shits and
Oh.
gigs
Yeah, I
because I
know,
could
right?
live there in a
I
heartbeat.
haven't gone that far down yet.
So,
So,
what neighborhood have you decided on?
I would live in La Roma. I would stay
was
in La
like,
Roma.
or Condesa are always the two favorites.
Yeah.
And,
People
yeah.
say, they're worried about the whole earthquake thing. But I mean, if I'm going to die in a building that falls on me, that's my destiny, man. At least it's one hell of a way to go, I didn't die of like a bug bite. No,
Yeah,
a building
I know.
fell
A bug
on
bite.
her.
That's
Like,
right.
it's pretty
and hey, we live in
gangster.
earthquake country anyway. So
And
you
it's
know.
going to be an ancient, beautiful,
Yeah.
old building in a city built on water with history all the
Yeah,
way back
exactly.
to the Aztecs. Yes, there's.
And Mexico, man, we don't live in fear in Mexico. We just live
Yeah.
every day as it comes.
And I did live through one of the big earthquakes in Mexico City when I lived there, so
Oh.
it is a little bit scary. But Roma and Condesa were always my toss-ups. Two
yeah,
really
there's
great
so much beautiful
neighborhoods.
culture. It's
And-
so rich.
It really is, and it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
part of the vein of life altogether. Is having the art and the
Yeah.
entertainment and everything constantly at you. It's not an extracurricular. It's
Right.
part of
Right.
the soul of the city, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right, so now we know that you're going to disappear one day to Mexico City.
That's the escape route once the kids graduate high school.
Yeah. We all make those glorious
Yeah.
plans, future
don't
plans.
we?
Right. Well, you go on vacation everywhere you go on vacation that you love. I want to live here.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
totally.
But I mean, I have like real estate people send me
you're like,
things.
"Please."
That's how far I've gone.
And you're just trying to keep your
Options
finger on the
open.
pulse,
Yeah.
pulse of the city, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so when you were on Top Chef Mexico, were you on Top Chef Mexico with any of our regional people, or were they all from all different parts of Mexico? Anybody else from the Baja area?
Baja,
Or-
yeah. Mario, which is out of Fuego in Guadalupe
okay.
Valle.
Mhm.
He's an amazing cook, amazing chef, human, everything. He's one of my best friends. You know, what the most important thing that I got out of Top Chef Mexico is I got brand new brothers and sisters. So
Oh,
I
very
have
cool.
14 brothers and sisters that,
That's
you know,
wonderful.
I'm an aunt to their kids. We see each other. We did 20 collaborations last year.
Wow.
After
Oh,
so that's a
man.
lot. That's
It
a
is
lot
a
of times
lot.
to like rally and cook with each other. And yeah, you spend a little money, but it's so worth it when you get around people that just vibe on the same like wavelength as
And they
you.
inspire you,
Sure.
right? Because you all
Crazy.
have different,
Yeah.
different vibes and things. But
Yeah.
now, when you went from there, how long was the break between that one and the U.S.?
4
filming?
months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I
Holy
still had
mo-
a little bit of Stockholm
just-
syndrome when I got there.
You
It's
just
not
moved right
easy.
along
And how
very
many
quickly.
have done that on Master Chef's gone from
Or
one to
Top
another?
Chef.
I'm sorry, Top Chef.
It's a different show.
It's a different chef. And we know those chefs too.
Just Katsuji and myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just
That's-
Katsuji. And Katsuji did back to back. First season Top Chef Mexico, and then did Top Chef Charleston, and then I did Mexico, and then
Okay.
straight into Colorado.
But then you're away from your family that much too.
Hmm
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
gotta be
was
hard.
away about 6 months last year.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So you're really looking forward to opening a restaurant soon here, aren't you?
Well, then you get to get
I
back in
am. I
your
don't know
own
if they are because
kitchen, right?
they don't see me still.
That's true. Jeez.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be getting into your own kitchen, but before we get into that, how did you decide that you were going to become a chef? Who inspired you?
Yeah, your mentors.
Oh, you know, the catalyst, I think, for that decision, I was actually pre-law. My dad's an attorney in Mexico, and I thought since I was a little kid, I was really good at arguing and my point, and I would draw up documents if my parents promised me something, and I would make them sign it so they wouldn't
That's
go back on
funny.
it. And my mom has all these contracts, and so
She's like 10 going,
Yeah.
I have your
yes,
signature.
yes, according to Exhibit A,
Exactly.
you're a liar. It's like, and then I got pregnant when I was 18, and things shifted. I was always a cook for my family, my brothers. I was always, like the mini matriarch of my family.
Were you
always
the oldest?
No, but I was
Really?
only a girl.
Okay.
I was the only
Mhm.
girl out of all boys.
Uh-huh.
So it was just kind of like my role. I had to clean the house. I had to cook, and take care of the boys, and the Mexican
Yeah.
female role, and which I didn't mind. It was just normal for me. And my son was born, and something shifted. It shifted in a way that I didn't expect. I had worked a restaurant job since I was 16, but I didn't think that was going to be my life.
Mhm.
And then
Right.
after he was born, I was like, what kind of hypocrite would I be if I tell my kid to chase his dreams and I don't at least attempt this one?
Mhm.
So wrote an essay on how Julia Child showed me how to speak English. She taught me, because we lived in TJ when we were little,
Mhm.
and my parents are, they're 100% Mexican. My
Mhm.
dad's from Santiago Escuintla Nayarit, and my mom's from TJ. So they learned English when we learned English, and we learned it through KPBS.
Got
Through
it.
watching Mr.
That's so
Bean,
amazing.
Are You Being Served, Sesame
How
Street,
funny.
Julia Child, Jacques
I
Pepin.
love it.
So I wrote an essay on how she taught me how to, taught us English, and she taught us like a love for food. And I got into the Art Institute when it was still like we were one of the first generations to really
Okay.
become chefs.
Now,
Very
you
interesting.
said that you
Wow.
cooked at home,
Hmm
but did your mother also cook?
My mom
Right?
cooked. My mom's an amazing cook. My mom didn't know how to cook until she met my dad, and
She was
have
forced
that-
into
I
it
have
then,
that
right?
same story.
yeah, my mom. My
I
mom
had to
was.
force
She
myself
was
to learn.
Yeah, she was a single mom of 2 kids, of 2 boys. So my grandma took care of the cooking when my mom worked. And between my mother and my aunt Lorenza in Guadalajara, which she was a single mom of 6 kids and ran her restaurant and taught me the love for food and taught me the love for our region in Guadalajara and Jalisco, what is Jalisco cuisine. And my mom indulged my dad's crazy cravings. We had escargot and TJ when I was 6 years old, and
Okay.
she would do steamed artichokes with drawn butter. And this was all
Wow.
like joy of cooking and Julia Child's cookbooks and magazines galore because she wanted to
Wonderful.
cook to impress my dad.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
All right. So what's one of your favorite childhood meals that your mother would cook traditionally?
My mom makes amazing albóndigas. That's definitely like my last suppers. My mom's albóndigas still till this day. I'll be 34 this year, and my mommy cooks me albóndigas. Like
comfort food.
We go to her, my brother Miguel and me, and we bug her. Will you make us albóndigas today? That and arroz con leche. I can't replicate it.
Did you get? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you find it as good anywhere here at all?
I make it, but I feel like mine's not good. No, in San Diego, no one's arroz con leche. Just can't. No. I can't, and I always order it, and I'm always disappointed, and I don't know why I don't learn.
Yeah. I do the same thing with biscuits. Biscuits and gravy are my thing, and nobody makes them like my grandmother.
And I'm the same way with paella and linguine alla vongole. Even though we weren't Italian, my mother made the best linguine with white clam sauce. Yeah. You know, it's funny. There's a lot of people in the industry here who know that I'm not the biggest fan of Mexican food. There, I said it in front of Claudette Wilkins, okay? And, you know, and I'm always so shocked. And I grew up in Los Angeles, where there's also a lot of Mexican food, too. Mm-hmm. So I grew up with it, and I always wonder why. Why don't I like it as much as I would like to? Mm-hmm. And some other people have said, you just haven't had good Mexican food. I'm like, but it's being made by Mexicans here. Mm-hmm. So I know they're Americanizing it a lot, too.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I just wondered how you felt about that, you know?
Well, I think that you know, as a chef and as a business person, you have to kind of put yourself in the shoe of the business aspect of it and like, okay, what's going to sell? Mm-hmm. Yeah, our taco's going to sell? Yeah, probably. More than, you know, a cazuela with birria? Maybe. But I learned through Bracero that if you just stick to your guns, at least in the beginning, everything will sell. You just have to kind of believe in your conviction.
I really like those cazuelas, though.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny. I don't think that people try to water it down on purpose. They're just trying to kind of keep their neck above water.
But that's
what
you think it is being watered down a lot, right?
It's
the American palate.
By where you're at geographically. You know, if you're in an area that's very affluent and it doesn't have a lot of Hispanic, you know, culture around, you're going to be better off watering it a little bit, making it more approachable, because a lot of things people can't pronounce. So then they get intimidated by it.
Sure.
You know, so you'd have to make it approachable. But at the same time, I think that that's where on the service side, you can really facilitate that by having the servers be kind of guides to your menu.
Right. And once one of our fellow food bloggers, Scott Koenig, who does a gringo in Mexico, once we went for a trip just a few months ago, and we went to, I don't remember her name, who has that wonderful truck. Yes. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and I had that. And then I had some adobada, and I was blown away.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, if it tastes like
Gardner
this,
says that Claudette, you need to tell Mercy that she really needs to have good tortillas.
Yeah, we've been arguing about tortillas online last few days.
It's, you know, not everyone can make a good tortilla,
and it's true. And, you know, and of course, I grew up on packaged, you know, tortillas, and okay, I thought that was, you know, the best, the norm, and then I have even the homemade ones I've had here. I mean, such a difference.
Well, and then you get into the whole, you know, the maseca flour versus, you know, Doña Estela does maseca flour tortillas or, you know, corn tortillas, but the flour, amasarina, and they're delicious. But if you try to do it at home, you're like, oh, it's just not the same. And then you open a pack and it smells like bleach. Well, it's just because they put too much chemicals, too much lime. So then you get a white tortilla. Well, that, you know, that's probably not how the corn started.
Probably not.
If you do the least amount of to it, it's probably the best.
Well, and then I did I guess one of the ultimate sins in this big discussion that we had like 150 comments on about, you know, I said, okay, I'm not the biggest fan of corn tortillas. I like flour tortillas, but I'm like, flour. I mean, you get the side there's like, no, that's only for burritos. And then somebody brought up a croissant taco shell. Oh my God. No. I know. And
that's an abomination.
I
am completely for flour tortillas. And here's my thing. So in this last year that I've been researching, you know, the last 6-7 centuries that I've gone through Mexican cuisine, I went to a mill that started in 1752 in Oaxaca, milling wheat. Because when the people couldn't grow corn, when the season ended, while they were drying their corn, they grew winter wheat.
Yeah.
And they have amazing bread. And they have and in Sonora, you go and have the best flour tortillas. They're called sobaqueras, and they're tortillas that are literally this big, and they're delicious.
Wow.
And they're called sobaqueras. That means armpit. Because the women literally have to they fold them in their arms. So it literally brushes it, and then they slowly, it's like a convex comal,
Uh-huh.
and they lay it on top of it. So flour tortillas have a very rich history in Mexico too, but
Yeah.
we are of corn.
So there, all you
indigenous-
haters.
Yeah, right. I understand all like the croissant thing. I'm just willing to try a bite of anything at least once. Okay,
Yeah.
you never know. You might like it. So you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
God.
All right. So when you were in school and when you were coming up through the ranks of different kitchens, who was your biggest mentor?
I think to this day, I actually was texting with him today about just life in general. Is Gavin? Gavin's always been kind of like my soundboard for someone that I look up to, for someone that I literally take all of his knowledge and little advice and see
Let
his
us all
career.
know who Gavin is. for those
Gavin
who don't know.
Kaysen, he is now in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at Spoon and Stable and Belcourt and Wayzata. I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing that right. But he was here in San Diego, competed at the Bocuse d'Or in 2007. So San Diego helped rally to get him to the Bocuse, and then he left to New York, worked at Cafe Boulud for many years.
So he's a little bit of a nice background.
He's got
there,
a
yeah.
pedigree,
Yeah,
and now he
pedigree,
works. He's one of the coaches for the Bocuse d'Or teams that have won silver and gold. So, he's someone definitely that, anything he says, I just go, "Oui, chef." Listen, yes, chef. I went and did a stage before Bracero opened. I went and worked at Spoon and Stable just to see how he, so many years later, led his kitchen. And it still inspires me to this day. So I know I have my way of doing things and like my personality, how it changes. But his advice has always been solid, like an amazing mentor. Time can fly, years can go by and I'll send him a text. He responds within seconds.
Wow.
And that's amazing.
awesome.
As someone at that level, so I'm like, is this shit worth it?
Yeah.
And then he just sends like ramblings and like, you're going to do this and you're going to do this. And you're just like, yes, I know, but I just need to hear it,
And you need to hear it from someone who can see it outside of the emotion.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
And
But
it's
you've got
so
trust
cheap.
there.
Yeah.
You need to trust them.
Yeah, I love how I read about you and him and how he influenced you and how you love the way he treated his staff and his people.
Yeah.
And you try to emulate that. And it's so important. There's I think everybody has their ego and what they know they do well. And ego's okay as long as it's somewhat kept in check.
Yeah.
And again, I having worked in restaurants myself too, I never could understand how you can motivate a staff by yelling and screaming at them, being mad at them. There's a way to motivate a staff in a much better way than some of the baloney we see on TV too, where they're yelling and screaming and it's just for the camera really. So, but it does go on.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, I'm not immune to that, past. I used to be kind of like a steel fist, and this is my way, and you're gonna do it because I don't pay you to think, I pay you to work, and it's like that. But that's not the way young cooks work. The millennials, and being a mom, I'm raising teenagers. I'm raising kids that don't learn that way. Right. So translating into my cooks, well, it's just been a more organic process for me. I don't get as frustrated because I deal with it every day.
Oh, your kids are teaching you then, right?
Yeah, so exactly. I literally am growing up with my son, and he's the oldest of the two, but we've grown up together, and in my travels to Mexico and meeting all these women that have, kind of a fingerprint in El Jardín and have just, I don't know, I've just kind of evolved.
Now,
I've not changed, but I've evolved.
Do you think that some of that beginning too, where you were a little of a harsher, strict, person?
I think
inside your
Javier said
kitchen?
military, like.
Do you think that maybe came from the fact that you, like a lot of other females, I'm sure, have to prove something being a female in a very male dominated industry? Yeah,
absolutely. And I came up, I've been cooking 16, 17 years now, and I came up when chefs weren't nice to you.
Yeah.
The best chefs, they're in history.
Right.
You don't ever hear he was a quite swell guy. He was a swell guy.
So you work for him.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like I grew up being called, a piece of crap, and I didn't know shit, and that's just how I was taught. And so you have to be able to kind of like back up
and let it roll off your back.
And like, okay, I'm not a victim. I'm not my sex. I am not my history, and like write your own chapter.
That's great, Claudette.
Yeah.
Because really, I hate that I even have to have a question on here, which is she pretty much just asked it, but why do we have to keep even asking those questions of, so is it harder for a female?
Right.
You know, growing up as a drummer, you
Mhm.
know, so you're pretty good for a girl, you know, I'd hear that kind of stuff in the
Yeah.
in the 70s and 80s. So it's like, I can't wait till we get to a place where we're just not even asking that gender kind of questions
I think it's
anymore.
going to take some time. I
Of
think
course.
even more time. I think that we all, oh no, is that really? It's me. So sorry, everybody.
That's okay.
It wasn't me. Everyone's a witness. It wasn't me.
Of course, I was so flustered.
It's all right. It's live, baby.
It
So
is live.
anything
Sorry,
can happen
everybody.
live, right?
But I think, I think it's going to take time, and unfortunately, it's slower than we all want, but it'll happen.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable, right?
Yeah.
I think as a mom of a daughter, I mean, Marie, you have a teenage daughter too. And it's like, I think I'm just doing my part to show her what it looks like to not use any excuses or just keep working, keep working. You know, whatever will happen. I mean, you can't control everything. And again, don't use well, I can't do it. I'm a girl. Shut the fuck up. Just do it.
Well, and that's also the hard thing. It's because, it's inevitable because it's not going to happen overnight. And even though I have a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old, they're still going to live through some of this, and they believe they can do everything.
Right.
But someone's still going to put that on them that they can't
An
necessarily.
obstacle of
Yeah.
But I don't want them to use that as a crutch.
Right.
Or, either. I don't want them to say, oh, well, they're treating me this way, so boo-hoo.
Right.
And I know that sounds really harsh, but I'm like, no, pick yourself up and move along.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Right.
that's I want to be sympathetic, but at the same time, I don't want them to just be defeated.
Right.
Sure.
By things like that.
Well, you have to keep encouraging, and do you see it at all in the restaurants you've worked in, and TV shows and whatever you've done? Do you see men obviously getting a little bit more of a break than a woman, or you don't really see that?
I mean, I do and I don't. In the industry, I did grow up coming up. I for sure saw it. I would see, people that I was, co-chefs or co-sous with, and it's like, what the, you're not even working. And like, I would just be baffled, but it wasn't my job I didn't want to be that woman where it was just like, look, he's not doing his job.
Right.
Because then we get the stigma of the, the tattletale or the gossip queen. So I just put my head down and just always, and that's a Gavin thing, so just put your head down and work. Yeah. Work like you're not afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's literally been my life goal, is just to work my butt off until something happens.
Yeah, until somebody notices.
Right. And failure
Honestly.
is what brings you to success.
I learned to
you
love
have to
losing.
have those.
Yeah.
Yes, you
I
have
learned
to
to
have
love
those
losing.
situations.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Gary V.
Yeah.
I like listen to his podcast all the time, read his books.
Yeah.
Our
producer's like, yeah.
I love
she likes
him.
Gary Vee, obviously. Yeah.
Every single day I look
have
at
to
something.
watch. I have to listen.
Go on Instagram and just
Gary
see
Vee.
his little
I've seen his
thing.
name. Yeah.
He's
okay.
so
Comes up
good.
every day on my phone.
Yeah,
Favorite
me
Chuck
too.
just loaded a
I
new
gotta check
YouTube
that out.
video.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotta check that out.
Absolutely. All right. What's the hardest lesson that you learned when you were coming up through the ranks?
Keep your blinders on.
Oh.
It's everyone. We're so inundated with just social media and people and pictures, and it's just like, no wonder we have ADD, because it's like you literally can't
Coming
keep,
at you all day long, right?
like, it's just images and it's plates, and then you're just kind of, it makes you feel bad about yourself because you're like, well, I'm not doing pretty things like that, and it's like, yeah, well, that's one plate. They only made one really pretty plate. Try doing it when you do 400 covers.
Yeah.
Then we can have a discussion.
Yeah.
And it's just like the hardest lesson was just to put blinders on and find your true north and
Roll through
hope that it works.
Well,
And you know what? Ugly food, it's coming back.
Ugly food, ugly.
I saw it, and it came out in the Food and Wine. I think it was Food and Wine. I was reading it in the airport, on my plane ride to New Orleans, and there's a whole section on ugly food, and it's like, some of the best cuisines they're not aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
They're
And
not
these gorgeous
Instagram
plates,
They're just
friendly.
freaking good.
Instagram,
They're just
right.
good. They'll get you the awards because they're good.
Like jambalaya.
That's what it should be.
Jambalaya.
It's just a bowl full
Mole.
of
Okay,
yumminess.
all right, now I'm sorry, I have to mention this because I just brought this up to Chef Bernard Gies the other day. I was talking to him and maybe Michael and some other people. I'm sorry, I'm so sick of the schmear. I don't know what to call it because schmear usually
the back
means
of the spoon schmear.
Yeah, I'm
we call it the
sorry.
Nike swoosh in the
There you go.
90s.
Yeah, it's sometimes you know what it looks like, and I'm like, really? Come on, look at that again as you've taken the picture and realize this looks like something that came out of my dog. Okay, so I'm sorry. You're right. Look at. I like to cook. I'm not the greatest cook. I don't plate things. All I know is it tastes good going into my mouth, but usually my own meals I don't really want to take a picture of because everybody else is going to go, oh, that don't look very good. So you're right. We've kind of come into this whole era where everything has to look Instagrammable worthy.
You know when I take a picture? When I have spent all freaking day on a holiday while my kids and my husband and everybody else is playing video games or screwing off and I'm cooking all day and I'm like, don't touch anything. Don't touch it. And then I got to take a picture
for posterity, right?
Because it took me all this time. It took me 5 hours.
I just want proof.
And you
just want proof.
Gone in 10 minutes. That's when I take a picture.
Well, I think the whole plating thing has really come up with the whole social media thing, and hope you don't mind that you shared just before we got on the air that you're not doing Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
So my personal Facebook, I just deactivated it.
It's a time suck. It is such a time suck.
Yeah.
People like her and I, we kind of have to be on it, and sometimes you wonder, does a celebrity chef have to be on it? Well, hopefully maybe sometimes they have people doing it for them. You said no, not even that?
No.
You've got a lot to concentrate on right at the moment anyway, so.
Yeah.
Speaking of.
Yeah, speaking of.
Tell us about the new project.
Yeah, can't wait to hear
man,
about this.
how many I got my finger in several projects.
Well, we want to hear about them all.
But El Jardín is my baby. El Jardín is the passion project, the birthing of all of my years in this industry is like finally coming to fruition. Between Johan and myself, we've designed all the elements on it. So it's like I'm having conversations with electricians on where I want my outlets to be and the elevation changes and the countertops, the angles, things that chefs don't normally have to do, but I'm in there looking at plumbing plans.
So you're hands-on and everything,
Yeah, yeah.
Because if things are not exactly the way you want it later, it's
You'll
because
be unhappy
you
later,
forgot
right?
to mention it.
Exactly. I can't blame it on anyone but myself. It's like if this kitchen suite's there, but
I've done the same thing, and when you have that kind of ownership too, it's incredibly special.
Yeah.
So tell us about the restaurant, the concept.
So the concept is regional Mexican cuisine through the 7 regions of Mexico, and even furthermore, the historic approach to it on the different cultures that had their hands in those regions. That where Mexico wouldn't be Mexico without the the Lebanese culture that landed in Puebla that gave us al pastor, adobada, and we decided to brush a paste on it and slap a pineapple, and we made it ours. And we went from a flour tortilla. It was actually made originally with the lamb shawarma with the pita bread, and we switched it up and put it on a tortilla. So it's like. You have to appreciate.
Pig on a stick.
Yeah, and then went with pork.
I love pig on a stick.
I went with pork, and and the Afro-Cuban influence that landed in the Yucatan that gave us all those beautiful spices, and you have Chinese influence in certain parts of Oaxaca, and they do like rice cakes.
Now this is really, I gotta tell you, I'm so excited just hearing you talk about this. What an exciting concept. I don't think anybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind for just 1 second, in the barbecue world, there is one guy doing this in Hillcrest at the Smoked Hog. Chris McAfee is doing regional sandwiches. And I've never seen anybody do that in barbecue either.
Yeah.
So what a fantastic concept.
Yeah, and it's a crazy undertaking. I mean, the menu will constantly change, and people will be like, well, that's not from here, and that's not from here. But the good thing is I've literally read every book, and I have, like, would you like me to bring out the book and show you that I am right? Or, okay, we could just end this and you can eat peacefully.
Yeah, just enjoy the food, right?
Yeah, and Mexico, TJ wouldn't be TJ without the Chinese and the Japanese that landed there and gave us so much culture. And you see it a lot in TJ restaurants where, homegrown, TJ resident chefs, they use soy sauce and they use, I can't think of the words right now, seaweed in their stocks, and they use kombus, and my base for my pozole and my moles are all dashi kombus.
Wow.
So, and appreciating and taking that, like, we're a cuisine of mestiza origin. We're no longer a Mexican
blend
cuisine.
It's been
sure. Yeah, it's a hodgepodge. So it's been fun. It's been really fun. So that's
wow.
And another aspect of it is the matriarchs of these cuisines and the women that kind of are like the keepers of the secrets, and what happens when they're gone. I regret so much. I mean, I grew up with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, but I was a single mom of 2 kids when she passed away, and there was so many unanswered questions that I wish I would have asked.
Yeah.
So now I'm asking all these, now friends with these
Right.
women, and I'm like, can you please just give me one ounce of wisdom?
Yeah.
And
Right.
hopefully I'll be able to translate it into a plate, into a memory.
And the other thing about that is, too, there are small little secrets that it doesn't matter if you have a recipe. People forget about these tiny little things that they throw in that really, it's why yours never tastes
Yeah.
exactly like the way that it was created. Even if you sit there and you stare at them, you always miss something and you can't quite pinpoint it. But it's just a feeling they have about the flavors that they know exactly what to do. And it's not always written down, or, it's passed down just by...
Right. And of course, real chefs and cooks don't follow recipes per se. They
I hate when people ask me for recipes. It's
yeah,
like,
it's like,
nerve-wraching. I'm
oh,
like, what
I
if
don't
they
know if
do it and it's wrong? Because I don't know what's
Come
in
back
it,
at you
really.
late.
You're like, it was a little of this and that.
But yet, it's funny. I was not interested in my mother's cooking. You hear she was a gourmet cook.
Yeah.
And even as a kid, I didn't appreciate it. I wanted the hamburgers and the pizzas and the hot dogs and all that. Now, and then when she was gone, I was looking everywhere for her recipes.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah.
They were all up here.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad that I didn't go, Mom, show me how to make this. But I sure liked eating it.
Yeah.
So it
And
is,
I think you get to a certain age where you start to
crave it.
absolutely.
Oh,
You
gosh,
crave
yeah.
you crave your and it's funny, when I started going back and forth to Mexico 2 years ago, when Bracero chapter closed, I went to Guadalajara and I sat with my aunt, who's one of my mentor idols, and she said, Mother Earth always calls you back to your original roots.
Oh, I love
So
that.
it's like I was like Matrixy Avatar. It's like when I land in Mexico, I can literally feel like the gravity pulling me closer to
Oh,
the earth. And it
interesting.
sounds so hippie and witchy,
No,
but
I love it.
I really do feel like my true self cooking my food, Mexican food.
And what do they tell you in almost every profession you're in? Be yourself.
Yeah.
And when you start straying away from that, things don't go well.
Yeah.
And I think the problem sometimes is you don't quite know who yourself is, because you go
Right.
through so many renditions of yourself.
And
as
there's
you
so much
grow,
outside
right?
noise.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's all the influences, people telling you what to do, how to do it better, this way, that way. Just, it's that, the old saying, be true to yourself, you know? I found that as a musician, as an actor, all those things. So, yeah, I don't usually do well with lists of questions in front of me, because I like to just go with the flow.
I know.
See, what is she saying? Oh, I might ask from that. What have we got here? Let's
We've
see.
got to say hi to Rosanna.
Yeah. Where's
Hi,
Wade?
Rosanna.
Oh, Rosanna. Hi, Rosanna. Isn't she's not living here anymore, right?
Nope, she's up north.
Yeah, Rosanna, you're all the way up north.
Good to see
and
you
up there,
pop
I saw
in.
at the top the owner of Embargo Grills on there, Carl Essert.
Carl.
Always enjoy food talk. Well, yeah, of course, right? Yes.
We've got a lot of it. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
Joanne up here.
Yeah, Joanne, the owner of Cardamom Cafe, and a fantastic baker. Yeah,
And
they're
of
all.
course Michael, because he's got to make sure that he's got a little something to nudge you with.
Yeah,
when
Michael
you
is
see
my
him.
ex-podcast co-host. So,
Oh, okay.
and he still does his podcast here with Sheen and stuff. So, and since let's get back to the dishes again and what we're talking about with recipes. And did we ask her this already? Your signature? Do you have a signature dish?
That's
Did they
always
ask you that on Top Chef? Was it one of those?
No, I mean, pork is definitely my protein of choice.
Pork is my favorite
A
protein.
signature dish, it fluctuates. It
Okay.
changes so much. It's very fluid. Sometimes I'm really into one thing. I'm really into my pozole, and I try to really hone it and make it mine.
What was that word? I didn't know.
Pozole. It's from
Okay.
Jalisco. So it's a broth, enriched pork broth with
Yum.
nixtamalized hominy.
Okay.
Very well known for eating the day after you have had a rough night.
Yes, that and menudo
gotcha.
cures everything.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it changes. I used to have people would ask me when I was a pastry chef. I started my career in pastry. They would ask me, "What's your favorite dessert?" And I'd always say Jello. It's like I love Jello, but it's like, what do you? That's such a hard question. What do you tell them?
So she goes real simple
great.
on that one.
Jello,
Yeah.
and then it just completely the look on their face is great.
That's fantastic.
But savory, it fluctuates by my moods, by what I'm inspired
That's
by,
fair.
what I've recently. Tortillas is definitely one of my favorite things to consume.
This is the bane of my existence to make.
Yeah.
I cannot make a good tortilla. I've tried for years. I've just given it up and said I'll leave it to the experts.
Is there a skill involved?
There really is.
There's
I
a
mean,
little
to
bit.
get them to the
Right.
right consistency and
Yeah.
then
Texture.
the texture, and
Texture.
then the
It's all
the
about
flat-
texture and
I
flavor,
can't
baby,
get
yeah.
them that flat. How these? and they make it look so easy, like they're barely touching.
Yeah.
And I'm like squishing that little thing
Yeah.
down as hard as I can. And nothing works for me. I
Yeah.
cannot do it.
But you have something else that you're probably good at. So
yeah, I'm
you know.
great at the chicken adobo, but my mom totally screwed me over the other day.
That's the Filipino
Yeah.
side.
And let me tell you this story. Mom, I know you're listening.
Hi, Mom. Her mom's beautiful, by the way.
So my mom invited myself and Julia, my youngest daughter, over to her house 2 weeks ago. Made adobo, but she made pork adobo. And Julia was eating it. She's like, what is this? This is amazing. She no longer wants chicken adobo. I have now dropped from the culinary heaven that she thought I was in, and now my life as a cook is now I'm just the dish pit.
Thanks,
girl.
Mom.
It's, yeah, my mom totally
make it for me.
ruined
I'd be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that also leads me into how do you feel the San Diego public, I mean, it's hard to predict, of course, will go for this concept? Do you think they're adventurous enough? And does it take, we're all food people, so obviously it's a given we're adventurous. But what about the general public who still thinks really big chain restaurants are the thing, you know?
Or that rolled tacos is Mexican food only.
There you go.
You know,
Hey, I'm not knocking rolled tacos. I love me a good rolled taco.
That's
I
taquitos in Los Angeles.
yeah, I
so-
grew up in Imperial Beach. Like,
Yeah.
I lived off of taco
Yeah.
shop food.
Love it.
I can appreciate what it's lent into, you know, the culture in San Diego.
Yeah.
But the menu isn't made for like crazy people, like the super foodies.
Okay.
The menu's a little bit of everything. The menu is approachable. You know, I have kind of like my version of like a nacho would be, where it's like a long tlayuda with different, like a cheese that's actually made out of cashews, so it's vegan. And so and it's to kind of be playful. I'm really playful in what I don't take myself super serious. I'm really playful with my food and where I kind of get my inspiration from. So there's a nod to that. There's a nod to taquitos, to rolled tacos, so people can eat when, you know, munch. And we're in a patio and outdoor, so I want people to be able to grab a great cocktail. We have a lounge area where I'll have like beautiful benches and seating where you can just grab, you know, a bar snack and a cocktail if that's all you want.
Yeah.
Or if you want, you know, a carne en su jugo plate or a cazuela, you have that option. I don't, however, have tacos or burritos on my menu. That's where I did not compromise.
To get no complaints from me, I'm really looking forard to that.
And you know, honestly, I don't eat tacos in restaurants in San Diego. I don't.
you eat them at taco stands, right? Or not even?
Not even.
Like, in TJ.
I'm just not a fan of tacos.
Yeah, I'll go to
period,
TJ
so.
and I'll get myself a taco.
Yeah.
But I don't eat tacos.
Yeah,
in
it's
San
good
Diego.
for you then,
It's
Claudette.
build your own taco if you'd like. We have tortillas, all your accoutrements,
Right.
and your cazuela. And
But you're going to have some vegan dishes too,
I'll have some vegetarian,
which makes
vegan,
Danielle happy.
I'll
'cause
have
she-
vegetarian and like some vegan bowl dishes.
Yeah.
So it's like vegetarian. But
Wait, was that word veganable?
yes,
Veganable.
Is that a new word, Danielle? Veganable?
It's kind of like
maybe?
Googleable. I learned that from President
Veganable,
Bush.
I
It's
love that.
Googleable.
Awesome. All right. Googleable.
That's funny.
All brand new things here on the show.
Just came to drop knowledge. It's
Yeah,
fine.
right.
Well, Joanne's very excited about your new concept.
Yeah,
I think
concept
that
sounds amazing,
I think
yeah.
we may have to do a
Intriguing.
little get together once you open for all of
absolutely.
for all of us to
Yeah.
come over. And,
Oh, yes. Definitely. Because
Yeah.
that's really sounds unlike anything anybody else is doing in town. Because if I get invited to one more taco thing or tacos, I kind of had a little meltdown on Facebook that I was just saying, I don't like tacos. I don't like them. Okay, I like the ones I had down in Tijuana, you know, and what we ate in Popotla and, you know, and things like that. But I don't know why. It's just not done
Not a
well here
thing.
for me.
right.
Okay?
Yeah.
I agree.
It's
I
just the
agree.
same, to me, same thing, a little bit different filling, a little bit different salsa. But I'm not going to knock anybody who loves it. Look at it. I have tons of friends who will
There's
eat
a whole
tacos
industry
every
on
day
it.
of their
Yeah.
life, okay? And they love it, and that's fine, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I love barbecue. I still can't eat it every day of my life, too, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, I would love to, though.
Yes, I know.
I call it my religion is smoked meats.
There you
Oh.
go.
If I had a god, it would definitely be the pork god.
Yeah, and I think I read some stuff about you today that you've got some experience on the Santa Maria Grill.
Yeah, I love grilling. I love wood
Okay.
fire grilling.
Nice.
It's funny. I had a conversation with the contractors. Still to this day, they give me just shit for it. Sorry, but they always ask me. So this outdoor grill, I'm gonna plumb gas in it, right? And I'm just like, no. I'm sitting in a
eat
room
it.
full of guys. I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
back me up.
that's right.
Like, no, we're going to start it with wood or charcoal.
girl,
Like,
yeah.
no.
Oh, I love hearing that.
They're
because-
just baffled by the
Yeah,
whole
so you
concept.
want gas.
They're like, you're not in your backyard.
Yeah.
You have an
Right.
option.
Yes.
Are you going to have a grill like that at your restaurant?
Yeah, it's a Santa Maria grill. And so Phil Roxworthy built me a Santa Maria with an oven in the front. So I can do, I can't dig a pit in San Diego, so
Yeah.
I can't make cochinita or barbacoa like you would in Hidalgo,
Right.
Mexico. But I can pseudo do that by having this my
Right.
Santa Maria oven.
Rotisserie and
Well, you'll be, as far as I know, maybe only one of three, because I have two other barbecue friends. One of them just opened brick and mortar, Corbin's Q, and he was raised in Santa Maria, so
Okay.
he really, his tri-tip is just off the hook.
Yeah.
So good. So I love to hear that you're into smoking meats, because I'm the barbecue girl. I love hearing that. So
Yeah, no, I'm a Kudu Grills. I'm one of the brainmasters for Kudu Grills, which
Okay.
is all kind of this crazy contraption grill that I love. And then I'm one of the Big Green Eggs chefs. So
Oh, well,
Yeah.
my very good friend, Dr. Barbecue, Ray Lampy, is one of the spokespersons, just wrote the newest book on the big egg. Big
Whoa.
green egg.
there you go.
Big green egg. And there's going to be a big green egg festival here in May. So
Yeah.
very excited. I got to come in and see all the little things you're cooking on, because that kind of stuff gets me excited.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know.
I'll have a mini Big Green Egg, the mini
tabletop
XL.
Yeah, the mini ones. Yeah, those
for
are really
the
cool.
inside too, so I can do both.
I had to pick one of those up one day, and I'm like, oh, it's small. It's not
Oh,
the
no.
big one. And I tried to pick. I was like, oh my god,
Still really heavy.
Yeah, hernia.
They're
Yeah.
They're very
cute.
heavy.
And they're
so
made in
heavy.
Monterrey, Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, like all of the clay contraption
I
is
had
made
no
in
idea.
Mexico.
I wonder what the price difference is.
Yeah, right?
Like,
Might be a
I'm
wee
heading-
one.
I'm heading down. All right. So we have this question, and sometimes it stunts people, and I'm sure for you it took some time because you are such a voracious reader. But for our guests, I'm gonna make this twofold.
Okay.
I personally know that you are a big culinary history buff.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to pick one culinary history book for people to read, what would it be?
I kind of changed it as we were talking in my head. I think everyone needs to read like Water for Chocolate.
Okay.
I saw the movie, but I
The,
didn't.
it's in the
didn't read
movies
book.
actually. If you can see the mouths, it's actually in Spanish. It's just dubbed in English. So,
Yep.
Like Water for Chocolate is a book that, like we were saying, that everyone's dish could be the same, but it tastes different.
Mhm.
You know, and there's two particular scenes that have really like hit me right where it hurts when it comes to like what I've tried to do with my food
Mhm.
over the last few years, and it's the mole that she cried into, that everyone started bawling, and then the wedding cake. And then when you eat the wedding cake, it was like everyone was in love.
Yeah.
Those two moments, that's kind of, at least that's kind of my mission state, my personal mission goal is to invoke those emotions in people when they eat. And
a
it's like
lovely
to
thing, yeah.
taste the soul behind the dish.
I love that.
Oh, yeah,
So like
that's-
Water for Chocolate.
All right.
It's metaphysical, man.
And sometimes I hear myself say these things.
No,
and I'm
don't
like, I'm
stop yourself.
such-
Don't stop yourself.
I'm like, this sounds so hokey, but I
No.
really do believe it. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, you're talking about putting your soul and passion
yeah,
into the food,
yeah.
and you're hoping other people will go,
And they get it, yeah.
yeah, and when they
So-
taste it, they get it. So
You know, you mentioned mole, and the reason why I'm going to bring this up is because I have a very vivid emotional memory of mole that I had from my friend Denise and Mauricio's grandmother years ago in Veracruz. And they make it with duck. It wasn't chicken, you know, like you see on all the recipes
Right.
in the restaurants. But it was such a rich, beautiful flavor. Now, I've never had it again like that. No matter, I go everywhere and I don't order it. I just make them let me taste it first because I can't.
Yeah.
I'm
You
like,
know you're
"Ah, 'cause I'm
gonna
not going to
really
eat
like
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my husband did the same in Todos Santos, made me eat the same dinner every single night at one restaurant because he fell in love with that mole. And now it's been so many years past for both of us that I'm really not sure if we're ever going to taste that again, even if we had that exact same moment, because there was something surrounded just
Yeah.
by that moment that I think completely
true.
altered.
It's an emotional thing, like she was saying,
Yeah.
and that's why we are
So we
thinking
may
about
never
our
find it. We may
right.
never attain
We're
that
thinking about our
flavor
mother's
again.
food too.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing, the soul and passion in it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, absolutely. And there's this, I'll have this mole paste at the restaurant of a woman when I went to go meet at Tlachiquero outside of Puebla. So there's a volcano in between the states of Puebla and Mexico, and Mexico State. and the volcano has some of the most fertile land around it, where they grow beautiful wild agave, and then they take the aguamiel out of the heart of the agave, and there's this particular family that plachiquero is a term for someone that basically ferments pulque. So he took us on a hike. I mean, I'm talking like 90-degree angle mountain. And we got to his house, and his mother was making us just tortillas handmade in a comal. And the mole that I ended up having like 10 tortillas because I just couldn't stop eating it. And I didn't know why it was so good. And it was like this really rich, like burgundy color. I was like, okay, so it's not black, it's not red, it's hers. And by the time we got back down, I was like, what is this? She made us this trout wrapped in corn husk with a mole and onions. And there was not even running water or electricity in their house, and they made this amazing meal. I swear it was like an out of body experience. When I don't know if I was exhausted. I was drinking pulque the whole day.
That's it right there.
Pulque.
But
Okay,
it's just like, it's all these extreme, like all these, outside influences that make experiences, right? So I had this mole, and I almost like shed a tear, and I was like, can I buy this paste from you? And then I asked her, she's like, well, it's these chilies that we grow, and we grow it just for our family, and they're heirloom chilies, and it was almost like a pasilla miche, but for Puebla. And she wouldn't sell me the seeds.
Really?
I was like, I'll buy them from you, and she was just like, no. It's just so cute in the way she told me.
Proprietary, right?
She was just like, I grow it for my family, and I respected that so much. And I saw the fire underneath that very nice woman, and I was like, how about I buy everything you have made? And I came home with like sloshing mole. I was like, everything in my pockets is yours, and I gave her literally everything I had in my pockets, and we will have her mole at El Jardín.
Wow.
She's making me the paste. And I feel like I'm, yes, can I do it in the restaurant? Yes, I can. I can make my own mole. I can make my own recados. Would it taste the same? No. Because these ingredients are particularly grown in these regions, in this soil.
So she did end up giving you something then like that.
But the sauce, not the secrets.
Okay, gotcha. And what, you were able to replicate it from tasting it?
No, so, she gave me, now I'm going to be buying the paste. So I'll make it into my own because it's going to have my own stock base and my own
that's a great
ingredients
story.
that I'll put into it. Yeah, but I think that goes this last year. That's my favorite story to tell because it was definitely like a nod to the women of Mexico.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, no. And but I'll sell you. I was
like, I love it.
I got you. I got you.
Like, I'll give
yes,
you a
queen.
finish.
Yes, queen.
She knew.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm hoping to experience that in Cuba.
Yeah.
I'm going out there and I'm hoping to find someone that will do that for us, and give us that experience where I can go to any restaurant, great, but is that really what I want to do? Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
I want to find someone who has the golden touch on one particular tradition of Cuba's cuisine, and that's what I want to do. Yeah. And I think that that's what you're bringing us here in San Diego. With
sounds like it.
So I'm very excited about it. Well, I know also, just to wrap up, I know that you're a busy woman because you just took on one additional layer of absolute craziness.
Yeah, I can't believe this.
This is why you couldn't be here on Monday and Tuesday.
What, are you nuts? But I love it. You want to tell us a little bit
I'm
about
a hardcore nerd. Like I'm one of those weird people. I love school. I love learning. I love the aspect of just kind of like figuring out, all right, this is what I'm doing, but maybe I'm completely wrong. And then, all right, the teachers, let them tell me what's the deal. And so, I started the master's program in Mexican history and cuisine in TJ at the Culinary Arts School in Tijuana. And it's a 2-year program. It's every day there's homework. There's 30 assignments to turn in 30 days.
Because you got plenty of time for that, right? Opening a restaurant and everything?
Yeah, there's hands-on workshops where people from all over the country in Mexico will come and give us demos, teach us how to use the metate properly so you don't, completely cut your hands open.
Right.
Everything has like a dance, and using a metate, it's not just grinding stone versus stone. You should never grind stone versus stone. It should always be ingredient versus stone. So all that will come and I'll just be a better cook, I hope, for it.
And that's just such a you bring up the metate. It's such a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, it's a dance.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
No, you probably don't know that I was an archaeologist for over 20 years. So we found a lot of mano and metates in the field. And I'll tell you, when you see them and they're from the probably anywhere from the 1100s to the 1400s, what they look like, how smooth out they were. And I really would get like just jazz going,
Yeah.
what was put in
Right,
here, and
yeah.
you know, the masa and everything that they were grinding, amazing. So that's fantastic. That I love seeing that those are still in use in kitchens, you know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
a big aspect of the restaurant will be a design aspect, even as the volcanic ware.
Okay.
I have it all coming from the state of Mexico. The tortilla holders, it's a volcanic rock. It weighs 15 pounds.
I was gonna say, so
You
you're
could
gonna have
kill
some
someone.
burly
Yeah.
waitresses, huh?
Yeah, they're not moving. Once they get to your table, we'll bring you fills. But they're not
Right.
moving.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Well, Claudette, we are so glad that you did have the
Yeah.
time, considering
you.
how busy you are.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for
being
coming.
Really, really great to
flexible.
We're
have
very
you
excited
here.
about what's coming. Yes.
Thank you.
So everybody, make sure you go in and you visit her, and you make sure that you have to check out all the regions. Multiple trips, I'm sure, is what it's going to take. But go in, visit El Jardín when it opens, and you said around April-ish, March-ish?
don't jinx me. I'm
Sorry.
not even going to say
Yeah,
I'm
no,
gonna say early spring.
There you go.
Meeting in San Diego is not
Early
exactly a
spring
lot
is
of fun.
good.
So yeah, we wish you all the one.
Thank you.
As my people say, Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
So I wish you all the best. With I can't wait to go eat there.
I know it'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
just a reminder, our next guest on the show, which is on the 13th of February, will be
Hillary Rossi, who is the food and beverage director for the Patio Group, a very good friend of mine. And we are going to find out what it's like to open as many restaurants as the Patio Group does. It's like insane, and as quickly as they do. And it'll actually just be me and Hillary.
That's right.
Because Marie will be in Cuba, and I think Hillary and I will keep you entertained. So.
I'm pretty certain of it. So enjoy your week, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon.
That's it for this week's show. Remember to follow us on our Facebook page and Instagram stories to keep up with Hand to Mouth between shows. Use hashtag HandToMouthShow to share what deliciousness you're up to, and maybe you'll be our post of the week.
And a big thank you to the folks at Specialty Produce Network for producing our show from their studio in San Diego, California. Until next time, thanks for listening to Hand to Mouth.